Recently, I've spent a lot of time staring out my window at things that aren't there. Not because I'm going crazy, but because I'm not the man I used to be. In my previous years, I was a skeptical man, a rational one of reason and sense. Now, I don't know what I am. All I know is that I am ill. I've stopped seeing my therapist, and I've started drinking again. Anyone who has read my other stories will know what has driven me to this point. The things I have experienced have finally pushed me to the edge. But I'm not here for sympathy. I'm here to get my experiences out. They can't stay trapped in my head any longer. They'll tear me apart. I have told many of my stories from across my trucking career. Some make perfect sense when I run them back through my head, but some will forever remain a mystery. This is one of those stories. It was late as usual. It was late, and as usual, I'd been driving for hours. The night was black, and twilight had long since engulfed the valley. The static of the radio soothed me, and I was in a trance. My foot on the pedal and my mind in a faraway place. I'd been in this hypnotic state for the last 100 miles, fixated on the endless abyss that was the road in front of me. Suddenly, I snapped. Someone stood in the road ahead. I wanted to stop. I wanted to slam my foot on the brake, but I couldn't. It wouldn't move. I watched in horror as I plowed straight on. I waited for that sickening crunch of bone hitting metal, but it didn't happen. Nothing followed the collision. No sound, no slam, no screams. Just the shock and confusion of what had happened. I didn't look back, just drove on into the night. Hours later, I had pulled up. I couldn't drive any longer. My eyelids were extremely heavy, and it was no longer safe for me to continue on the road. I pulled out the bed and went straight to sleep. I had awful nightmares of silence and disease. I was alone on a mountain range, a roar echoing down it like an avalanche. The ground began to shake. A raging tapping boomed from above as the sky turned a dark shade of red, as if blood had spilled across the heavens. The tapping grew louder. It was a thumping now, crashing and banging like the sounds of war. I woke. The tapping wasn't in my head. It was coming from outside my truck. This was the most angry sound I'd ever heard. The noise of pure rage. I swept up my gun and crawled up to the window. Outside stood a figure, staring back at me. I could only make out his outline, no features, but he was tall, incredibly tall. He took the stance of a wilted plant. I held my gun up to the window and hit back the hammer and aimed it at him. He seemed to dissolve into the blackness, fading into the void of the night. I got back into the driver's seat and drove until I could see a light. Dawn finally slithered into the sky, and I was peaceful. I made it to a fuel station and got out, almost crying. I filled up and paid. I didn't understand why it was me that had to face such evil things. I stood facing the side of my truck. I whimpered. Etched onto the side of my truck was 4 words.
You will never rest.